Competing as a natural bodybuilder simply started as a means of taking a passion of mine to a deeper, more rewarding level. I'd been lifting weights as a hobby to develop my physique since I was 12 years old. It was something that was always running in the background of my life. First, throughout middle and high school, and then later on, throughout my classical music studies in university. Although it was in the background of my life, it was always something that I really cared about. And in retrospect, it was something that I cared about more than really anything else that I was doing, even in regard to my ongoing classical music studies. As far as competing went, I had never really considered the prospect of doing so really for at least the first 12 years that I lifted weights. But when a friendly gym acquaintance of mine suggested that I consider doing so, the seed was planted, and within the following year, I competed in my first ever natural bodybuilding competition. Upon experiencing the prep process for that first show and doing the show itself to win gold in my class, I was pretty hooked. I loved the struggle and reward of it all. I loved the journey. I loved the process. It was a way of taking a passion of mine and bringing it to an even deeper level. If you ask me why I enjoyed it all so much, that probably would have been my answer. I love the process, I love the journey, and I love the struggle and immense reward cycle of it all. Now, in 2026, in my fifth prep, just after competing in my eighth show to win my WMBF Natural Bodybuilding Pro card, I've discovered that competing as a natural bodybuilder has been even more rewarding, satisfying, and meaningful than I could have ever initially imagined. And no, it's not because of the reward of developing an ongoing, ever-improving physique, winning gold medals, or even earning my pro status. It's because of something that's significantly more important. And in this video, while showing you footage from my latest full-body gym workout, I'm going to share with you exactly what that something is. Honestly, I suspect it's something that you might not expect me to share, but I truly feel compelled to share it nonetheless. Before we get started, if you find this video to be helpful or interesting, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. Okay, let's dive into it. Struggle and reward. That's a good way of describing a natural bodybuilding prep in only a few words. You experience the struggle of ongoing dieting and hard training in an underfed state, and then experience intermittent rewards along the way. Everything from an ever-improving physique to refeed days where calories are bumped up a little bit, to the ultimate reward of getting on stage and having the opportunity to celebrate the end product you've worked so hard for. The prep process itself, though an intense challenge that's difficult to fully articulate unless you've been through it before yourself, is something that gives you something to focus on, to set your aim toward, to leave you feeling a sort of ongoing level of excitement and anticipation about. All of those rewards of prep are, looking back in hindsight, why I would have told you I loved competing so much. Shoot, those still are absolutely a part of the reason why I love it. But in this prep, the one I'm currently in the middle of now, I've discovered an infinitely greater reason for loving it. I'm going to share with you what that reason is, but to ensure I do my explanation justice, I need to first describe some of the intense challenges and pain experienced in a prep. I need to do so in order to provide the proper context. To preface the struggles I'm about to share, I want to make it transparent that I'm not doing so for the purposes of seeking out any ounce of sympathy whatsoever, or for the purposes of publicly saying, "Woe is me." Rather, it's to share an honest, grounded explanation of the struggles of prep, at least the struggles I've faced in my preps, so you can fully know and understand my reason for loving the process so much. The first struggles I'll describe are ones that you might expect: growing hunger and lethargy. When being in an ongoing dieted or underfed state, varying degrees of hunger are unavoidable, And the deeper you get into the prep, the more intense the hunger becomes and the more frequently you experience it. Upon a well-planned and strategically executed prep, you can include diet breaks and regular refeeds to mitigate the hunger as much as possible. But even so, the hunger is still unavoidable. That hunger, at least for me, eventually grows into more than just a physical feeling of hunger, but into a more mentally taxing kind of food focus, in which your thoughts involuntarily revolve around food and eating. When you're restricting yourself of calories, an undesired mental fixation on eating certainly doesn't make things easier, that's for sure. In fact, I consider the food focus to be a greater struggle to endure compared to the physical sensation of hunger itself when comparing the two in isolation. Being in the midst of my current season as I record this, I'm currently experiencing both the physical sensation of hunger and mental food focus quite intensely as I'm talking now. Growing lethargy is also a struggle in prep, particularly, at least for me, in the latter stages of it. Interestingly, for the first, say, 2/3 of any prep, energy levels are actually quite high, I've found for myself. The first stages of fat loss actually leave me feeling physically more energetic, still strong in the gym, and able to stay intensely mentally focused when I need to. This is actually something I love about those earlier stages of prep. The lethargy really kicks in when getting into the extremely low body fat percentages. I'm talking about when scraping out the body fat once below 8%. That's when things really get tricky. It's at that point when things like just walking up and down stairs, getting up out of your chair to go to the bathroom, and especially doing hard training sessions become particularly tough. The workouts specifically become very, very hard, even with the inclusion of strategic refeeds and diet breaks intermittently to avoid total burnout, essentially. Mental energy, not just physical, takes a big hit too, where regular chores or work tasks become more challenging. Another key struggle worth noting is simply enduring a feeling of ongoing restriction. Naturally, dieting to get stage lean involves restricting caloric intake a good deal, and that means restricting your food selection respectively. In addition to that, there's a level of restriction that might impact how you interact in social settings or within the life context of your family life too. Honestly, for me, I largely don't mind the restriction since it reinforces my natural proclivity of upholding a structured routine and lifestyle. See, I actually love routine. But even so, after many, many months of it and levels of restriction that do become quite uncomfortable, I do find myself struggling with it after a certain point, usually upon being very deep into the prep. After experiencing the combined hunger, lethargy, and restriction of prep for a very long period of time, and upon enduring those challenges to ever-increasing levels of intensity, I find another struggle manifests itself. And it's what I would probably consider the greatest struggle of them all. It's this amplification or intensification of negative emotion. I think this is an adaptation of the mind when the body reaches extremely low body fat percentages in combination with just being hungry, lethargic, and experiencing ongoing restriction. It's a kind of survival mechanism, I suspect, that some might describe as being a means to focus on danger, or in this case, starving, to instead seek out more food to get a healthy body fat percentage as soon as possible. But within a prep, the whole purpose is to get stage lean, which means being at a ridiculously low body fat percentage and staying there is what simply must be done. Needless to say, negative emotions are tough to live with. For me, that's largely intensified anxiety, but also, if I'm being honest, depressive periods as well. Okay, so within a prep, you experience growing levels of hunger, lethargy, restriction, and negative emotions. And the deeper you get, the more intense those struggles become. Eventually, I find myself getting to a point where the relief experience from those struggles, like from meals or refeeds, becomes less and less effective too. At a certain point, you need to kind of just live with the ongoing discomfort. The struggles become more and more inescapable. Ironically, this is where I found the greatest, most profound, and meaningful reward of being in a prep. When stress, discomfort, and to be blunt, pain is at its highest, and when there's no escaping it. So what's the reward? It's in getting closer to God. With the intense, unavoidable struggles faced in prep, I found that the greatest sense of relief I've experienced has been through prayer. Material things like food and rest definitely help a bit and are absolutely necessary, if even solely for the purposes of survival. They are not, however, enough to fully satisfy or provide real relief. Prayer does, though. I get that some of you listening might think this is woo-woo. To be honest, I would have probably thought the same thing even just a few years ago. But it makes logical sense why prayer is such an effective means of not only relief, but in attaining strength to continue taking steps forward within a prep. I'll try to explain it very simply in the way I've experienced it and how I understand it. God is the creator of everything, and with every passing second, he's continuing to hold everything within the universe together. Time, space, the stars, earth, everything. And everything within his creation, which is everything, including me and my prep, is happening within his providence or within his plan. God, as I know him, is omnibenevolent, which means all good and all loving. That means that everything he's created and his plans with his creations, including my prep, revolve around good, at least if I, a person with free will, allow it to. So, upon realizing that and experiencing the intense struggles of prep, I can pray to God and ultimately give him my full trust in his plan. And that trust involves knowing and acknowledging that the pain I'm experiencing, being a part of his providence, is something that will lead to some greater good. The best possible good, to be precise, whether that be a good that I fully realize and understand or not. So by trusting and surrendering to God and his providence, I feel a kind of incomparable peace of mind and joy. And that, I find, is everything. Something that transcends being hungry, lethargic, feeling restricted, and any feelings of anxiety or depression even. In addition to experiencing internal peace through surrendering to God, I've also finally realized and experienced the grace and strength God's given me through prayer. Although the process of enduring and getting deeper into the prep still very much feels painful, I have a much more profound sense of strength as I continue. And I realize that that's through the grace that God's given me. Through experiencing the mental peace from surrendering to God's providence and the strength and grace he's given me to endure the challenges of the prep, I've found myself getting closer to God, trusting him more, getting closer to him, growing in virtue, and developing a deeper prayer life. This is everything. Now, don't get me wrong here. The material rewards of prep are good too, like developing an ever-improving physique, becoming more disciplined, winning medals, and so on. But they aren't everything. They don't fully satisfy. But God, who I believe we are created for, does. And it's through experiencing the incredible struggles of prep and developing my prayer life amidst it all that I've grown to not only understand that to a deeper level, but that I've clearly felt and experienced it too. And there you have it. The greatest benefit or reward of competing as a natural bodybuilder is, by far, infinitely far, in fact, getting closer to God through prayer. Now, I get that some of you watching this might be thinking this is all just a bunch of woo-woo, because honestly, even just a few years ago, I probably would have thought the same thing. But upon clearly experiencing it all myself, I know it's all true. And the good news is, as we are all God's creations, if you aren't already, or if you aren't already seeing it, you can experience the infinite benefit of getting closer to God through prayer yourself. Now, I know this video went to a different place than you probably expected it would, and as such, I'd love to know your feedback. Let me know your thoughts and insights in the comment section below. Before this video comes to a close, I want to quickly let you know about the work that I do. When I'm not making YouTube videos or Instagram content, I work full-time as an online physique coach, where I help my clients to accomplish their muscle growth and fat loss goals by optimizing their approach to strength training and nutrition, and I coach them through the process. I've been doing this work for over 7 years and love helping my clients to not only transform their bodies, but ultimately their lives. If you've been considering getting some help with accomplishing your own physique goals, feel free to hit the link in the description below, where you can learn a little bit more about the work that I do and how it can help you. You can even use that link to schedule a free video consultation with me. If you have any questions about my coaching or how I can help you, just email me at sam@jadeathletics.ca. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.